Debashish Basu, founder trustee of Money Life Foundation, to introduce Mr. Paritosh Joshi.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Great pleasure in introducing Paritosh. He's been on the FMCG side. He's been with Procter & Gamble, ITC, and Maharaja in Sri Lanka. On the media side, which is quite an unusual thing for somebody to move from FMCG to media, but he was with Business Standard and Star. In advertising, he was briefly with Lintas. He's been associated with a commodity future startup, which is absolutely fantastic, called eCommodities. And then he's been in an industrial products area with industrial perfumery at Quest International, which subsequently got merged with another large Swiss perfumery company. And last but not the least, he now runs his own marketing and financial communications consultancy company called, very provocatively, Provocateur Advisory, right? Paritosh?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's humbling to be in the presence of some of the towering figures of advertising self-regulation. So I'll try to do my best. But before I start, quick sort of straw poll. How many of us have felt offended, angry, upset by some piece of advertising communication in the last week? The last one day? Okay, thank goodness, that's not so bad. And this is commonplace. It happens to us in hoardings, when we are passing billboards on the street. It happens to us when we are listening to the radio. It happens to us increasingly on the web. And it happens to us on television all the time. So if you tune into primetime television, the likelihood is that before the evening is out, you're going to be looking at the TV and saying, who allowed that? Why won't they take that down? Now, therefore, I'm going to start with a little bit of a disagreement with something that Partho said. And I tend to be a bit of an argumentative guy, so Partho, pardon me. You know that. He was eloquent about what the National Advertising Monitoring Service does for us, and which is splendid. I mean, it's good to know that we have somebody sitting in Baroda or some bodies sitting in Baroda who sort of constantly look at the advertising in print and in TV and pick up offensive advertising and bring it to our attention. But I think a good self-regulatory system really depends on people like us. And I think today's session would have been, well conducted and would have served its purpose if all of you, in the course of the next 1 month and months to come thereafter, do not remain passive when you see advertising which you get upset by. And it's extremely simple. And quite frankly, the simplest way of doing it is ASCIonline.org. You can go online. It's a very, very simple process online. You can upload the advertising. You can usually find advertising clips on YouTube. If you cannot, you identify the commercial, you advertise the channel on which it ran. If you have a photograph that you can pick, use your mobile phone camera, your smartphone camera, snap a pic, post it. It comes to them. And the reason why this is important is to us, and this is something that the CCC talks about all the time, the system works best when it is driven by stakeholders like us. And the final stakeholder in this process is the consumer. If the consumer is offended and if the consumer acts, that's a better way of doing it than getting a bunch of passive people in the National Advertising Monitoring Service doing it. So really, really, the challenge for you today will be that when you leave this room and when you go away, be mindful of the fact that you are a part of the solution. I heard Mr. Vieira mention the AAP earlier. Now, there's been a lot of hand-wringing about, all the things that we feel upset about. And, of course, now we have chief ministers who throw tantrums in the middle of the street. The point is this: we do the same thing as well in our individual lives, frequently to do with advertising communication. And you don't have to. You can make it work. You can make that antsiness, that anger, that upset actually convert into real action. And it's not difficult. So I think it would behove all of us, and I would urge all of you to be thinking of today's session as a path to becoming an active participant in the complaints process. Because if you do that, then this session would, become a huge force multiplier and a bigger force multiplier than the NAMS itself is. So without any further ado, advertising is something that actually works for us. So fundamentally, while there is a lot of people who almost have a militant sense that says that all of it should be stopped because all of it is rubbish, I think that's extremely misplaced. Free speech includes, I think, free commercial speech. That those who vend goods and services must have the opportunity to speak about them. Within the confines and within the definitions that Partho laid out. And therefore, I will ask you to remember these 4 words for the rest of the presentation. Truthful and honest, or just truthful. You can use either of them. You can call it honest or truthful. Decent, safe, and fair. Truthful, decent, safe, and fair. The entire advertising code is about truthful, decent, safe, and fair. And if you get these 4 words, you can look at a piece of communication and say, it's not safe, or it's safe. It's not truthful, or it's truthful. It's not decent, or it's decent. And ultimately, it is the lay point of view. It's the ordinary person's point of view that decides what these, extremely talented professionals on the communication business create for you. It's their business to create, to produce those pieces of creative communication, but ultimately the final litmus test of whether that communication really works in the real world is it true, is it fair, is it decent, and is it safe? And that is a test that is best done by the touchstone of the ordinary person. Your ordinary person's mind and heart looking at that advertising saying this worked for me or this did not. Right? So now the process for this is simple. I'm going to show you a few pieces of communication, seek your vote, and then we will have an interesting little variation on that in just a couple of slides down the road. So this is a commercial for Sundrop sunflower oil.
ऐसा मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है यार? क्यों, अब क्या हुआ? हम दोनों रोज जॉगिंग पर मिलते हैं। बिल्कुल मिलते हैं। खाते भी एक जैसे हैं। हाँ। फिर मेरा कोलेस्ट्रॉल 270 और तेरा नॉर्मल। वैसे तेरा कोलेस्ट्रॉल कितना है? 300
था। जीने का ढंग नहीं, खाने का ऑयल बदलिए। सनड्रॉप हार्ट घटाएगा कोलेस्ट्रॉल सिर्फ 1 महीने में। रिसर्च किए गए 100% लोगों पर यह साबित हुआ है, क्योंकि इसमें है ओराइजनॉल, जो कोलेस्ट्रॉल कम करने में मदद करता है। सनड्रॉप हार्ट, घटेगा कोलेस्ट्रॉल, बढ़ेगी जिंदगी।
Truthful, decent, fair, safe. If you were to gauge this piece of communication, would it pass muster for you? So do you think that if this was complained against and you were sitting in judgment to this one, you would uphold the complaint or you would not uphold? So I'm going to do a quick vote. Who would uphold the complaint against this ad? Okay. And who would not? Right, you're outnumbered, badly outnumbered. I cannot ask Brahm or Bharat to comment, but why doesn't somebody who says that they would uphold, I think, didn't you say that you would?
Yeah, I think it's untrue that Sundrop really reduces all the cholesterol, and there are a lot of other reasons also to...
It was strongly in favor of upholding the complaint, massively. There were 2 people who decided that they wouldn't uphold it. And by the way, like they have in KBC, the audience poll. Yes.
Very simply, there's just not enough data to decide either way. How would you able to upholding the complaint would be a positive act, or rather different from the point of view of the company, a negative act, and you have to support that.
Well said. Well said.
The only reason why I would uphold the complaint is because I found there were 3 lines of qualifiers which were absolutely unreadable. And I think the advertiser himself knows that this claim is not maintainable in an unqualified fashion. He has qualified it, but those qualifications are dishonest. And that is why I think the ad is dishonest.
Okay, there is a lot of content to come, so therefore hold your horses. There's going to be much more fun down the road. But I think the one point that he makes, which is very legitimate, in the real world, the way that you would go, as Partha himself said, is that there is actually a process during which the complaint goes to the advertiser. So ConAgra would have received this complaint. ConAgra would have had the opportunity to comment on the complaint and give their side of the story. And then it would come to the CCC. So the CCC would see the complaint and the defense and take a balance of opinion on that based on the evidence which is provided. Because really the issue is substantiation. So if the claim is substantiated, you are in good shape. And I think the point that Brahm makes is utterly brilliant. The advertiser knew that they didn't have a substantiation, so they hid their qualifiers in a disclaimer which was unreadable. By the way, as a side thought, the ASCII board now prescribes standards on the size of the disclaimer and the duration of the disclaimer. So one of the things that you can watch out for is if you see a disclaimer that you cannot read off the TV screen and which does not last long enough, that itself is grounds for complaint. Right? So for example, in the old days, there used to be this thing on television, on radio ads, read all offer documents. There was something about offer documents and something about a red herring prospectus if you heard really, really hard. And that has to do with the industry that you guys are particularly close to. But even that, if you notice, has slowed down. So these days, if there is a new offer, a new fund offer, an NFO or an IPO or something, even those disclaimers on radio, they actually have to take time to announce them. So by the way, absolutely right, the complaint was in fact upheld. Let's go to the next one.
A pleural effusion is a collection of fluid between the stool linings of the lungs. When we breathe, it's like vessels. Micromax Psych, for those who are always high on music. Micromax, nothing like anything.
Investments in equity shares involves risk. For more details, refer to the draft red herring prospectus available on the websites of SEBI and the BRLMS.
So again, straw poll. The complaint against this ad was that this ad was objectionable. I'm not going to tell you what the objections were, but somebody said that the ad was objectionable, and who would uphold it? Everybody would uphold it? Wow, this is amazing. Let me go to the back of the house and ask somebody about why they might have this upheld.
Firstly, it's unsafe where they show that the kids are playing with the chemicals, and secondly, they were tapping on skeletons. It could probably hurt somebody's sentiments.
Awesome. Any other comments?
This fast reading of IPO, I mean, as it is, Moneylife Foundation has been saying, especially Madam Sucheta Dalal, this fast reading has to stop. It's almost like misleading and cheating people, and coming out with a false sense of, giving people assurance. So that.
Okay. Any other views at the back there? But actually.
My point is, before releasing advertisement, why the advertiser is giving first it to ASCII, and ASCII is not approving that.
Okay. Interesting point. This is something, Bharat, you want to comment on this later? He's saying, should we not become censors? Look, this is not a statutory body. Please remember, we are a self-regulatory body. We don't, and it's almost good, Yes, we do. It's almost good, and this is something which I have learned from many years in the CCC. It's actually almost good that we don't have judicial authority, because we have moral suasion, and moral suasion, personally to me, is a higher platform to operate from for a self-regulatory body than merely, having we don't want to be the scolds in this industry. What we should be is the people who are conscience keepers. Now, the conscience does not have a legal authority over you. The conscience speaks to you with a voice inside your head and says, this is wrong. Now, as far as pre-monitoring is concerned, frankly, you just heard the numbers. 45,000 is the pieces of advertising that go through the National Advertising Monitoring Service. But 45,000 is not the total number of advertising pieces released in the country. That number is probably 10 times larger. If we became a sieve for monitoring everything that went out, this organization would come to a standstill. So the only way it can work is as a reaction, and hopefully every time we react and every time, the message goes out that there's somebody watching, if you do something which is mischievous or wrong, then automatically people are more on their guard, and hopefully, that sense of fair play, that sense of decency, that sense of honesty becomes ingrained in the way that people create advertising. But by the way, what actually did happen with this commercial was in fact exactly what you said. That ground that, those kids playing in the chemistry lab, what actually happens, and we hear about this constantly, is kids do what they see. They see something in a commercial or in any other piece of, visual content, and then they want to go and copy it. And very dangerous things happen.
So I would like to say is that you must have seen many videos on YouTube where people listen to music and they are dancing in a free ground doing various kinds of stunts, but those stunts are performed carefully even while they're hearing the music. So I think they should have shown that, and it would have been a better thing.
Speaking of which, in fact, Bharat was speaking about it. One of the services that ASCII does offer for advertisers is what is called copy advice, which means when you have a piece of advertising which you want to pre-vet for whatever reason, then there is a service available within ASCII for you to run it past them. By the way, that service does not guarantee that there will be no complaints against that ad. That service is strictly in the nature of an assistance to advertisers to say that, if they themselves feel that there is something which is not entirely in order, they can run it past experts, and the experts will be able to guide them. The experts will not provide any assurances that this will not lead to subsequent complaints, but they are, their guidance is based on solid years of experience. You want to mention something about that, Bharat?
Yeah. Basically, it's an advertising advice which is free to all the members, and there is an expert committee of people who have combined like 40 years of experience with the ASCI, and based on that, the advertiser is free to accept it or not, and also we make sure that they know that even if it's cleared, this can be taken up by any complaint and consumer complaint. So it's more like a voluntary. This is one of the international best practice of self-regulatory organization, and that's what we do at ASCI.
No advertiser which has followed copy advice, the complaints have been upheld. Not a single one.
Still doesn't constitute a guarantee. I think we must remember that merely because it's not been upheld doesn't mean that it's a guarantee.
You said that there is a NAMS which looks into all those things. So that's one gentleman who is saying it. Why don't they see it before it is being put on air? Why they cannot, the advertiser can send it to NAMS?
The NAMS is a bunch of very, very young people who they are not sort of seniors who have the ability to, bring too much discrimination. They are not a censor board. They are a bunch of youngsters who are otherwise also looking at that advertising. They have been trained to detect what are egregious violations. We will get there towards the end of this presentation. But the thing is that a lot of what goes on is at the nuance. Particularly sophisticated advertisers will always play at the level of the nuance. So it's not egregious. The egregious stuff comes normally from, relatively low grade kind of advertising communication. But sophisticated, high quality advertising, which, breaches the code, is a little harder to read. And that actually constitutes the bulk of the volume. This 2/3 that Partho was talking about are big campaigns run nationally and which might constitute something objectionable. Those are the ones that we need, that, the CCC becomes very useful in, because that's where let's say the more informed view is available. The egregious thing, you will never be able to catch that advertising, because how will you catch the advertising for some dodgy Ayurvedic product being released in a newspaper in Gorakhpur? What will you do? It's going to come. Once it comes, we will save it. But the stuff that we really need to worry about is, top class brands, very, very proficient in their, capabilities in skill, in knowledge of marketing and advertising, and throwing in the dodge in the nuance, not in the overt stuff.
Already half the damage has been done.
Regrettably, we don't have the ability. I mean, this is a conversation that we have frequently, that should we become the censor board? And personally, if you ask me, and this is an entirely personal view, this is not the ASCII view. My own view is the only way to do it, the only right way of doing it, is after the advertising comes out. Because really, what you must do is you must make every person involved in creating advertising themselves feel responsible towards making good, safe, truthful, decent advertising. If I am a brand manager, if I am a brand director, a marketing chief, I must look at my communication and say, does this pass muster for me? One of the things that Partho said earlier, and very, very important, it's the heads of companies who are on the board and who have been involved, heads of agencies, heads of, advertisers, big senior people. I mean, people like Brahm and Bharat who have contributed and who have participated. So the thing is this, what must happen is that in their organizations, they must become let's say, the fountainhead of sensible thinking. They must become the final touchstone of good quality and of sensible standards, right? So you don't want to, this censorship, in a sense, is a great way of abdicating. You don't want anybody to abdicate. You want every single marketing professional, every single advertising professional, and indeed every single media professional to look critically at the communication which goes past them. And this kind of a thing will help in creating abdication. You don't want anybody to abdicate. I must feel responsible for what I do. Yes, and we turn around very quickly. There are 4 CCCs a month. Okay, I'm now going to do a little bit of a stunt. Instead of making this everybody's responsibility, I want 6 or 7 volunteers who will come up front and become our Consumer Complaints Council for the next 3 or 4 ads. So let me go to the next slide. And I want to tell you that while this gets started, the reason I decided to do this was, let's understand, the CCC process is not a cabal, okay? We don't have a plancher there. So we don't do seances there, okay? It's regular people sitting down, speaking regular English. So there is no seance, we do not invoke, any spirits. So there are no wispy figures in the room. We just sit and talk, frequently scream at each other, frequently disagree vigorously, and it's us talking lay language. None of us uses marketing language there. Okay, so here is an ad for Samsung air conditioner which came to us not very long back.
घर के अंदर ही वायरस हो तो दीवारों का क्या फायदा? ले आइए सैमसंग एसी। इसका वायरस डॉक्टर सुरक्षा करे हर खतरनाक वायरस से, H1N1 से भी। सैमसंग एसी, अब हर घर होगा वायरस फ्री।
Okay, can the ASCII team help us with what the complaint was and what the defense provided was?
The complaint was that it is impossible for an AC to provide an atmosphere which is virus free. So this was the complaint. Should I continue? We wrote to the advertiser and we asked for substantiation. And the advertiser gave us 600 pages of data to prove their claims. Now, when you get 600 pages, it either means that they want to confuse you or it means that they have got genuine substantiation. So we gave it to the head of chemical engineering, IIT, Powai, to evaluate it, and he took 1 month to evaluate it. And after 1 month, he felt that they have adequately substantiated the claim that the AC creates an atmosphere in which viruses are killed, and so they can be it is actually proven to be virus free.
You've got all the facts.
Yeah, I would still uphold the complaint despite the substantiation prima facie for one word which came out to be H1N1. So they have to be pretty specific about that. Are they H1N1 virus free or it is just a virus free? Because at times viruses it could be a virus free environment if because of the atmosphere. Virus dies down because of cold atmosphere at times. But whether they are substantiating on H1N1, that's what they have to prove and not generalization. So that's why I would uphold it.
I feel it is still misleading, right? I completely agree with him, the same thing, because you have proper, though in your case you said that they have showed that substantial data, but that is again based on what kind of study and analysis they followed, what is that standard process and all. So it is like that, most of the time this advertisers are very smart and they know what are the loopholes and
I also agree that the complaint can be withheld because I think when you are even traveling in a train, what study shows is that people who are traveling in AC class actually suffer because the air is still circulated within the same compartment, and those who are actually traveling in a non-AC, they don't fall ill. So we have seen that with children falling in when you are going in a AC class, but we have to go in AC class just because that's more comfortable for long distance. And again with AC, I personally don't like AC, so I'm very biased in a way saying that I mean the more open environment is much better. And H1N1 again, that's a big thing. I mean when you say H1N1, the consumers, those who are not even aware of virus, they might just catch that word H1N1 and say, yeah, we are worried about that, just remote AC just because maybe it will help. Just like saying dengue, how do you prevent dengue? Oh, you just, they're playing on saying that you use good night mat or something and your dengue will be prevented. But even that is debatable. If the mat can really stop the mosquitoes. So same thing here. H1N1 is just a catchy word and people are going to fall for it. So there will be always some, big research done by somebody and all confusing. So I don't agree on that.
That okay, they have just used generalized word virus. So okay, if some virus they are killed by low temperature, but again AC cause some humidity, and there is a chance of not humidity, but yes, I mean still some virus are you can say that yes, there might be possibility of their in what way they. I mean this should be completely avoided. That is what I feel.
Did they mean that the air was getting filtered and virus was being killed in the process?
No, they provided proof that once you put on the AC, the viruses, including H1N1, gets killed, including H1N1, and that was verified by the head of chemical engineering, IIT Powai. So he went through the data.
Is that some new technology they came up with?
Yeah, it's absolutely new technology, and it is only on their new AC. Maybe the earlier AC didn't have this facility, but the new AC for which they are advertising had this capability.
But the AC should be at what temperature to kill the virus?
I'm just reversing, because the fresh information that it kills H1 and H1, that's where I would reverse it, because I wouldn't go with beyond the mandate of the complaint, and I wouldn't get into the moral policing onto the what is the use or non-use of the AC. Rather, what the complaint has come, and if it justifies that H1 and H1 kills, then I guess there is no reason for me to get into moral policing.
Can the committee now decide? You have to figure it out. You are now deciding yourselves whether you want to uphold or not.
Not upholding.
Not upholding?
So how can the AC know to kill the H1N1 virus?
If the National Health Council really supports, their validation, and then there is, I guess, no problem, and they should go with it.
H1N1 virus, they are in 600 page. Anywhere it is written, it is a chicken virus. Okay, H1N1 is coming from the chicken.
Yes.
So anywhere in the place it is eaten, and the chicken. No. You have to know the sources, no? You have to know the sources. Mainly you have to know the source.
I will actually add to.
I am not a technical expert. The technical expert went into this, and there's another thing is the CCC normally, unless it's a perception issue, the CCC goes by the expert's opinion.
Okay, one last time, committee. Uphold or not uphold? Not uphold, not uphold. Not uphold?
Uphold.
Uphold. And you are? Not upholding. Okay. Now, you know what? In this process, I have just actually seen everything which happens in the CCC. And I will tell you about it, but we'll go through one more. The ladies at the back see it every week, so they know. But we will go through one more complaint. And same process, and then I'll tell you what it is that the committee did not uphold that complaint either.
Let's go to the next one.
डॉक्टर मेरे दांत में दर्द है।
डॉक्टर तुम हो या मैं? सांस लो, ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे।
Zatak perfume deals. Just Zatak her.
Okay, so the complaint that we had was obviously about standards of generally accepted standards of decency.
A lot of complaint from female dentists.
You want to say what the complaint was?
Complaint was that it was offensive and derogatory to female dentists, and we received a lot of, even on the dental association we got a complaint.
I would like to say that maybe I would not agree with, maybe this is the case of creativity, and this is the case of one single dentist.
Yeah, because creativity at the cost of truthful, that is not possible. See, what is the ultimate aim of each and every company? They would like to reach their customers. They want their customers to be truthful and honest to their brand. Unless and until you yourself not truthful and honest, definitely you can't expect same from the customer. So that is where the basic lies.
I actually, they are offering a service and not sexual foreplay over there. They're offering a service. Yeah, they're offering a service, and you're trying to get the service. And in the name of teeth, you're putting a scent ad.
Well, I mean, to be honest, at didn't find it too vulgar. I mean, if you take life too seriously, then nothing will work. So I feel that okay. I mean, it's not really going to harm you if somebody uses a deo. Okay, if something can happen, it's positive, so it's okay. Use it. If it doesn't work, fine. It's not you're losing a lot of money or somebody is dying. So don't take life too seriously. I mean, a little bit vulgar, but that much vulgar happens in all the movies which is shown in TV. So it's okay, no problem.
This one's not working.
Well, I would just say that even I would not be upholding, because there is no statistical data that you can prove that the acting of the dentist was because of DO or not for the DO. It's completely individual. So no amount of statistics can help it. So no, that's what I'm saying. That anyone who is complaining, how can they prove that the acting of the dentist was not because of the DO?
The issue was not.
It was decency.
Yes, it was about decency.
However,
It was decent.
okay.
So, committee, not upheld. Upheld.
Yeah, I'll uphold.
Why doesn't the committee tell us its decision? What's the committee's decision?
I think we need a few more female members over here. Second thing, whatever their personal, I mean not personal opinion, I hope
I'm
it is
going to
not
make
gender
myself a
bias.
member of this committee now. And
Are we supposed to say? Yeah, so that
Overall.
should not be there.
are you anything? By the way, this is very, very interesting.
My question is that are we supposed to see only on the complaint that this is vulgar or derogatory to a woman, or on all four parameters that it's not truthful is a new thing
it is
that
not
I
truthful.
see?
The message is not honest.
But this is a very, very interesting point you've made, because, it's amazing that just in this small simulation, so many of the things that actually happen in the CCC have happened here. Now, I'm going to pick on a few things that went on in the last two, but give me the decision. We will go to the next complaint, and then this, the simulation will be over, and I'll tell you what all we learnt. So, your decision, please, committee.
I will still uphold.
The action was wrong. It was not an act.
Right, of course.
Remember that there is decency, which is an issue, and they have talked about a particular profession that is being derogatory to. So the dentist profession and female dentists in particular, so decency in advertising and in particular derogatory to one particular community, female dentists, and those dentists have complained. So final decision. Okay, so we upheld this one. Great, good. Let's go to the next one. Oh, we get complaints all the time against tax. All the time. Let's go to the next one.
झिल झिलमिल मुझे आसमां का तारा बुलाए नए हर छूटो जाए चलो उड़ उड़ जा सोच क्या पंछी एक नया तारा बुलाए
I baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We receive you into the congregation of Christ and sign you with the sign of the cross.
झिल झिलमिल मुझे आसमां का तारा बुलाए चलो उड़ उड़ जा सोच क्या पंछी एक नया तारा बुलाए
ग्रीन लैम्प लैमिनेट्स दिखे इतना अच्छा दिल तो करेगा ही.
Okay, we will hear about the complaint.
We got two types of complaints. One complaint which came from the Christian community, which says that they are making fun of the sacrament of baptism. So that is one type of complaint. And one type of complaint we got from the RSS, which basically said that they are promoting conversion. So these are the two complaints received.
Committee.
I guess any ad, which will harm the sentiments of any religion and community, we should not promote it. So on that stand on that, from that point of view, definitely we should uphold.
I think that the RSS part is just absurd, so that is not really a good point. But you're right. I mean, as far as religion is concerned, every religion has certain things, and maybe some people make it offended. But a point here is that people actually, I mean, even in US, they plan for funeral in terms of space, in terms of expenses, and in terms of what all things will be there. And this is one part of it. So what kind of thing we want to use for the funeral may feel little little odd for advertisement, but I think it's a part of life when you're planning something. So advertising, just from looking at advertising, I didn't feel offended, but some community might. I mean, that specific.
Actually, it is an insult to the process of old age and death, and they're making fun of loneliness of old people. Forget it was very creative, but old age fun and old age process of loneliness and death, they're making fun that old people behave and they go to life this way. Thank you.
I would not uphold the complaint. If we even see movies like Jeene Bhi Do Yaaron, where you have, it's an entire comedy movie where the dead body is in the coffin and it's being dragged in the coffin, so then you would say that the entire movie should be scrapped out or should be rewritten. Or even the last few scenes, which is a comedy scene with Mahabharata and all that, so you're making fun of the epic, then in that sense nothing humorous will work. So I would not uphold this complaint.
Despite my being pro-sung attitude, but I would still not uphold the complaint. Prima facie, if it's to hurt the sentiments, then I should rather be quiet 90% of time. That's the case. So, yes, that is the case, that loneliness and everything is seen. But again, I would come back to the first thing, that we are over here to testify the advertisement, and we are not the moral police on whom we write the articles en masse that this is not to be done. And
when it comes to sarcasm and humor, that is completely fine. As you said, that hurting sentiments in any way, maybe you might be hurting sentiments of someone. Here we are talking about hurting sentiments of a religion or community which they have, because it's not about being Indian, but then they are very much would like to adhere to that, and that is the reason which, if it is going to create that kind of issue any kind of riots, so it is better to stop and not to promote this kind of ads.
Not uphold the complaint for reasons mentioned earlier. Secondly, it is made on a lot of tragedies and things like marriage and divorces and all that. So sometimes you have to give leeway to humor. And secondly, it's an ad of laminated wood. So I think it was not meant to attack the religion per se, but that religion uses wood, so that's why they used it.
Okay, so committee decision time.
I'm on the borderline, but I will still not uphold it.
Not uphold or uphold?
Not uphold.
You will not uphold the complaint?
It's okay. I mean,
you can live with it.
Deal.
Okay.
I will uphold.
You will uphold.
Yeah, I will not uphold.
So only one person upholding and 4 not upholding. So this complaint was not upheld by this committee. Okay, I think now we will dissolve this committee. You will please go back to where you came from. So this particular complaint, you actually decided differently from the way that the CCC decided. But the reason I did this simulation was this simulation has been an incredibly accurate depiction. The primary source of information for the CCC is the ASCII Secretariat. The ASCII Secretariat has to present the case. It has to do so without coloring the case. They have to present both the sides to us. The CCC has to listen, and if we seek additional information, the ASCII Secretariat's responsibility is to find whatever of it is available. Sometimes additional information is not available, in which case we hold it off and discuss it another time. A second thing which came up, which was amazing, which was that in the process of discussing a complaint, you stumble upon something else that should have been complained, but was not. And you mentioned that we should do a suo motu. By the way, the suo motu process is very much a part of the CCC process. So you mentioned it, sorry. So if there is a problem that we detect which goes beyond what was originally complained against, we routinely accept it as a suo motu complaint. Third, we routinely widen the definition of the complaint. So the complaint may have been framed in a particular language, but we will try to understand it in its widest possible ramification before we adjudicate on it. So, it's remarkable that this group of people who have no previous exposure to the CCC or the code have actually done perfect justice, because you basically stayed true to those few simple things which I talked about earlier. That is it truthful, is it fair, is it decent, and is it safe? And all of those issues, you picked them up, you went beyond the immediate remit of the complaint. You attempted to extend, get your minds around the whole issue. For example, certain things that you picked up, puffery, humor, jest, routine conversations in the CCC. We absolutely have to think about them, because there are certain claims which are, meant to be puffery. They are not meant to be taken literally. They are not literal claims. There are others which are sometimes couched as if they are puffery, but actually are meant to be taken very, very seriously. The genius of the committee depends on being able to tease these two apart, to know when it is in jest and to know when actually it is being intended, that it is actually meant that way. And the amazing thing is that when there is this diversity of opinion, I wish we really did have more female voices here, because that right brain thinking brings so many interesting insights to the table, and which makes the job of being in the CCC so enriching. I have Bharat to thank for this. 7 years ago he brought me into this committee, and I can tell you, those 100-odd meetings I might have attended, each meeting is like this. It's spirited, it's energetic, it's opinionated, it's argumentative, and it's full of learning. It's absolutely full of learning. Now, let me, how the CCC draws the distinction. If you have paid space, or if you have marketing space which belongs to the marketing company, the advertiser, where the advertising continues to display, it's a different thing. And if it is in the nature of archival material which somebody has posted on YouTube, but for which the advertiser is not responsible, that's a different thing. If there is active promotion of that video communication, you're seeing it in splash screens, you're seeing it in online, web pages as advertising inserts, that will be treated as advertising. But if somebody has put an archival copy into YouTube, all these ads, by the way, are on YouTube. Even all those that have been upheld, if you went and searched for them, you will probably find them. But if they are in advertising inventory, it's now becoming harder and harder to discern. But whether this thing has been brought into the ambit, yes, the answer is absolutely yes. Litigation happens all the time. Litigation which is within the industry, litigation against the ASCII. Starting with this, when we send a complaint to an advertiser, the advertiser routinely responds with legally framed documents that say, establish your locus standi to even ask us this question, who the heck are you? What authority do you have to ask me these questions? Routine. And sometimes they say that, we, while withholding, retaining all rights to subsequent defense, we may answer your questions or we may not. So they will give very qualified answers. So we have that problem. But litigations happen notwithstanding the ASCII, right? In any case, the consumer court system is available. There is plenty of legislation, plenty of law which exists that enables the consumer to seek recourse beyond and outside the ASCII system. Remember that the ASCII's remit is limited to advertising communication. So if, for example, there is deficit performance, or something that was promised was not actually finally delivered, now that deficient performance thing, unfortunately, I suspect we will be able to go only so far. Right? If there's an issue of an overclaim which pertains to everybody, the overclaim thing comes to ASCII, the CCC rules on it, we find that it has not been substantiated, and those ads will be taken down. But the thing is that the CCC or ASCII is not a be-all and end-all of the consumer's rights in any matter. You always have rights which go well beyond, and in any case in the courts of law. We are not a court of law. And I think, thank goodness, we are not. It's a good thing that we are not, almost. This question comes often, can you penalize advertising? Can you send a fine to them? I think we should not. We haven't, we don't have that right. The Cable Television Networks Act incorporates the code into the Cable Television Networks rules. So there are rules, those rules have been notified, they've been gazetted, which means any ad which appears on a television station which has got a license to downlink in India must comply to the ASCII code. Which means that if it does not comply, by law, the television station carrying it is required to take it down, which they do. That compliance, they have a system. I have been in TV for long enough. In TV, there's a system which is, which actually vets all communication, it's called standards and practices. So it goes through the standards and practices process. If something is offensive, they take it down. If they receive our complaint upheld, they take it down, right? And they take it down in a hurry. So these people communicate with them and the ads come down very, very quickly. Legal remedies are not restricted or in any manner curtailed by the ASCII. Those will always be available.
I'm speaking from memory. Those of you who have read the code more recently would be able to bear me out. But as we wrote the code, on page 1, we said this, that this code is not supposed to replace the legal process. It is to run parallel with the legal process. Parties may have rights which are enforceable in a court of law. The ASCI code has no impact on that. We are a voluntary body. We have these 4 principles to affirm in advertising for the interest of the consumer and for the interest of the advertiser. We don't compete with courts. There have been cases where courts have taken a different view, but no court has stopped the ASCI process from going through. The matter has been tested legally a couple of times, but ASCI's process has always been permitted by the legal system, but it doesn't replace the legal system. And as I think the code also says, that the code does not deal with the occasional non-fulfillment of a promise. I mean, if you make 100 products and one of them is a defective, but 99 deliver the promise, then the one man who has got a defective product may have a claim at in a court of law for the defective product delivered to him. But as long as 99 out of 100 or 90 out of 100 are delivering, and it's not an occasional failure, then it is not considered to be an offense against the code. If my memory serves me right, this is a code that Subhash Ghoshal and I wrote 35 years ago, and we wrote it, in fact, long distance, in the sense that I was sitting in New Zealand on a tour, he was in Bombay, and we had faxes those days flying across, and we made these 2 points, that we are not dealing here with the occasional failure of a product. That has another remedy. We are dealing with systemic overclaims in advertising, and that is what the code deals with.
Thanks a lot.
A few years back, I've got one complaint to the, most of the time I've seen the advertisement come to the film personality. The one case I put in the Food and Drug Administration, Amir Khan is doing one program for the Ayurvedic product. And I've written complaint whether it is true or not, but so many consumers are using and they're looting money from the consumer. The FDA personality has written letter to the Amir Khan. You are doing advertisement, whether you know the real effect, what is. Then he has written a letter and given the explanation. And he replied that I have done for the commercial aspect. I am not using on my body and in my family. And there is no effect. After that, we will prosecute you. We will prosecute you, FDA. You are doing so many things in bad. After that, FDA has written so many film personalities the letter. Before giving advertisement in your television channel and any commercial, you have to prove yourself in your body or with your family. If it is true, then you can do it. This is the thing happened few years back. I am one of the complainant for that from the FDA.
Interesting. But like I think to go back to what Brahm was saying, there is a legal process. There are many remedies out there, and this is by no means the be all end all. This ad is very interesting and in many ways very topical thanks to what happened in Khidki village in the last few days.
Size. The aroma. Perfect Ghana cocoa. He'll be a Bourneville one day. He's nothing. Please tell him I'm sorry. Only the best cocoa from Ghana goes into making a Bourneville. Maybe that's why you have to earn it.
No brownie points for guessing what the complaint might have been. Absolutely. Racial profiling, that basically that it was a racist communication. That there was something about this where there was a juxtaposition of a white man who was in a position of authority and a bunch of tribals who were Africans who were at the receiving end of the high-handedness of the white man. And this came to the CCC, and I'm able to now say that what actually happened when we evaluated this complaint was this. We didn't think that there was anything racist in it. We read him as a buyer. We read him as a buyer who was evaluating the beans and not the people. That there was a distance and a difference between the seller and the product being sold. The evaluation was not of the seller, but of the product being sold. And we found evidence in the fact that after all, a person who was on the seller's side himself completely acknowledged that there was a problem, pushed that one little bean, the offending bean, out, and therefore we did not find anything racial about it, anything racist about it. But this kind of a thing comes to us as well. You know, I remember the time, for example, during various tours, when India has gone on cricket tours or they have come here, you know, there have been some very difficult communications that we've had to deal with. Like when the West Indians came, there was this whole story around the mirchi, about we'll unko apna khana ka matlab mirchi chakha denge or something, and a lot of that was very, very dodgy. So we do actually have to deal, the CCC in its, and the wonderful thing about that chapter, the chapter on decency, generally accepted standards of decency, it's one sentence. That is an extraordinary chapter because it's just one sentence, that whether it meets generally accepted standards of decency or not, it then falls entirely on the CCC to use its wisdom and judgment to determine these things. Now, I want to talk about, and I'm almost coming to the end, there are a few ads merely for your entertainment which came out of NAMS, but the kind of egregiousness that I was talking about, they will demonstrate it. But I want you to understand that the CCC has a lot of existential debate going on constantly. We constantly feel about, you know, how inadequate we are to evaluate the advertising which is placed before us for a variety of reasons. Not least that all of us belong to a particular segment of the society, notwithstanding whether we are in civil society, activists, lawyers, whatever we might be. But the thing is that we've had a liberal education. Generally we come from a fairly liberal attitude. All of us tend to err on the side of being liberal. Right? And we are constantly thinking that are we going too far in that direction? We keep wondering whether there might be large parts of the country whose views, particularly where it comes to decency, because the smallest chapter of the CCC, of the ASCII code, actually is the one where there's the biggest debate. You know, truthfulness, honesty, fairness, those things are substantiable by data. You can demand data and you can say whether the data meets the standard or not. You have experts. There is a very, very large battery of highly qualified people whom the CCC has access to through the ASCII system. So we get great advice. But where it comes to decency, that's nuance. That's the kind of nuance where only the committee sitting on that particular day has to make up its mind about whether you found this decent, indecent, vulgar, inappropriate, the kind of things that might make me cringe, might not make you cringe. Conversely, the kind of things that might not make me cringe might make you cringe. I mean, it all entirely depends upon our unique social backgrounds. One of the things that I can tell you, I am a father of 2 teenagers. One of them is not going to be a teenager very, very long. He'll be 20 soon. My kids see stuff on YouTube that they frequently want to share with me. We are sitting together on, one of their laptops or mine, and they say, Baba, we want you to see this. And now I have reached the stage where I tell them, listen, this is not age appropriate for me, man. You are welcome to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. It makes me squeamish. It makes me squirm. My kids think it's cool. I think it knocks the hell out of me. I don't want to watch it. So there are age issues here. There are social issues here. There are education issues here. We can't wrap our hands around all of them. Let's be clear. The CCC, the ASCII is human, fallible. Okay? This is, like I said, it's not a seance. It's normal, regular human beings, evaluating. So, is there a universal, absolute standard of judgment that we can apply? Sucheta and I disagree constantly. Perhaps the reason why she has me here today is because I vigorously disagree with her.
I just got 2 questions. One because of this Bonwell thing that has come out. I have heard that many of the fairness cream advertisements are been upheld. The complaints have been upheld because of black skin, white skin. If it is so much of the repeated thing, then why is it that every time the wheel has to be churned and created for every new advertisement? That's question number 1. And question number 2. Since SKI is so voluntary and only partial teeth, why doesn't have opinion on the government ad?
I don't have a view on that.
Yeah, has very clear opinion on government and political ads. It's on the website also that they don't accept it. And very clear reasons are given why they don't accept it. ASCI doesn't take complaints of government and political advertising, non-commercial government and political advertising. Most of the SROs in the world don't take that also. This is an advertising, commercial kind of organization for money exchange and all that. And very clear opinion is there. Okay, once again back to the original code. There is nothing in the code which says government ads are not within the scope of this code. Number 1. Number 2. Worldwide, and certainly in India, government is providing goods and services commercially. The biggest banking sector is government owned. Now, if you get a banking ad which is indecent or... No, just a minute. No, the point is, why is it that you can speak about products and services being made by the government, but not anything else said by the government? The original code has not excluded anybody's communication. But if you feel that politically we better not disturb the powers that be in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that's a different judgment. According to me, ministers will come and go. The ASCI should go on forever. And it's the people who are sovereign, not governments. I see no reason to exclude government advertising from the scope of Advertising Standards Council of India.
Read out the policy and then, this is decided by the board. That ASCI does not accept and process complaints against political and non-commercial government advertising for the following reasons. ASCI's self-regulation system is established as an industry initiative with the objective of regulating commercial communication, that is advertising which directly or indirectly solicits exchange of money for goods and services. ASCI code specifically states that the code for self-regulation has been accepted by individuals, corporate bodies and associations engaged in or otherwise concerned with the practice of advertising in the best interest of the ultimate consumer. Therefore, political and non-commercial government advertising attempting to influence voters do not come under the ambit of ASCI. Second, it is important to ASCI's integrity that is seen as an impartial adjudicator, free from the perception of political bias. It is not possible to make a decision about whether a political or non-commercial government advertisement breaches the code without the potential for being seen as taking a political viewpoint. ASCI has mandates from industry associations such as ISA, 3SOFI, INS, IBF, etc., representing India's advertisers, advertising agencies and media to regulate advertising content. ASCI currently has no mandate to regulate government or political advertising. Complainants need to be aware that ASCI is an industry-funded body. It is inappropriate for ASCI to assume jurisdiction over the content of political or government advertising in the absence of political parties or government support for such advertising to be regulated by ASCI. ASCI recommends that anyone who has complaints against any political advertisement should write to Election Commission of India and send complaints against non-commercial government-released TV advertisements to Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, New Delhi, which is the regulator for TV content, and for press and advertisement to the Press Council of India, New Delhi, which is the regulator for print content. So this is the policy.
Sir.
I think we have run out of time.
Sir, I have a question. I've been standing for a while.
Okay. We really are running out of time. I think...
Sir, you talked about the 600 pages which Samsung provided. So if I'm a complainant, do I have the right to see those 600 pages?
No, that unfortunately is evaluated by the committee and the experts.
But then if you just give the conclusion, wouldn't the complainant be wondering what made you take the decision one way or the other? So wouldn't it be nice if you share it with the complainant at least? Like the disclaimer funds?
This is a process that...
All complaints are not replied by 600 pages. Some of them would be shorter.
I must confess, listen, I don't set the code. I don't set the manner in which ASCII processes it. I think, even the issues that Bharat has raised could be potentially issues for, fierce debate. But I'm afraid I was today limiting myself strictly to the ambit of what the ASCII process does today and how it works today. I think the only way that you can get comfort is that the people who are sitting in the CCC are people like you. So therefore, they are applying the same standards of scrutiny, the same standards of examination on data that you would as the complainant. So we are your voice. The CCC operates as the advocate for the consumer. So in a sense, the witness, we are the prosecution at that particular point in time. The jury is almost also playing the role of prosecution. The defense is actually not in the room. The defense is only the data which has been accumulated and evaluated by experts. So to that extent, you should have some faith that the people are not compromised.
No, of course, I didn't mean that. If ASCII, I agree that ASCII is doing a great job, but if it can include these political things and the sharing of the data,
I have no view on it. I think Bharat has spelled it out.
Because
more ads, we don't have the time. I wish we could, but more, if you can put it on your website, we'll put those ads in. So, the rest of it is more ads, but I think the point that I wish to make, all of those have been covered. We spoke about fairness, we spoke about truthfulness, we spoke about decency, we spoke about safety, we spoke about aspects like racial overtones, about religious overtones, about the compellingness and adequacy of substantiation. Those are the kind of issues that we deal with. Finally, and I'm really done now, thank you very much, is that I said at the beginning, and I'm going to repeat that again, ASCIonline.org. ASCIONLINE.org is the address. Please go there as soon as you can, discover the process for yourself, and every single time you find something offensive, complain. Thanks for being a patient audience.